You can A, go be with your father and walk him out that bullshit God stuff in Asian language, or B, stay here, have a career. I said, duh, I'm picking A. And when I picked A, she stood up, she goes, you will never work in the state of Oregon, ever again. I was like, what? She can't do that. She can. All she has to do is go. He's dangerous. He's educated. He knows too much information. He's unstable. Well, yeah, you're unstable at 25. Who isn't?
It's not like she was unstable at her age.
She was 48. She had spent 25 years, right? She was going to retire because police, fire is 25 years. You can retire, start all over. Well, she didn't want to start all over. Cut that out. I walked out the gates. I said, you better unlock that gate because I'm going to take myself hostage. They're like, whoa. Yazzolino was running the gates at the time. He goes, McGuire's serious. Let him out. I don't think he's ever coming back. Well, but you have to work graveyard tomorrow. I was like, you know what? I think you guys are going to make it before me on the graveyard. You'll make it after I leave. First thing I did, I walk out the gate, take a left. I'm like, there's the parking lot. I had a brand new Suzuki Sidekick, bright red, because I could. I'm like, hey, I go, there's my Sidekick. And guess what was on my windshield? A letter in an envelope. You know what it said? Hi, my name is Darby. I don't know if you remember me, but I was on Unit 1, because at that time they had females and males. And she said, hey, you can change my life. I get released in a few months. If you promise just to pick me up, she was 20. If you just pick me up and I get released, get me to my mom safe, you will change my life. Guess what I did? I'm not supposed to, but guess what? I'm not an employee anymore. So I set up my bright red Suzuki Sidekick. When she got released, she comes running out. Thanks, Anthony. My mom lives about 280 miles away. What? Okay, we gotta swing by the gas station, fill it up, get 2 10-gallon cans, fill it up, and we're just gonna mob it out. So we did. She told me you're crying. She was just turning 18 years old. Her and her friends in Portland were going on a beer run. They made her the driver because she had no criminal record. She had a license. Her mom paid for the insurance. Well, this was on Burnside, Portland. She said, hey guys, this is what she told me. She said, hey guys, you're going to steal that beer out of safely. It's going to be a real bad idea. Could go wrong. Nope, it didn't. She pulled up, friends, grabbed 4 12-packs, and that's pretty important. What do you get 4? Because there's 4 of them. And they said, get out of here, Darby. Fuck you. She's like, go. Because the security called the police. So what did she do? She's a good girl. She, bam, smashed it out. What? Immediately, it turned into a high-speed pursuit up Burnside. She was so scared for her safety. Guess who was chasing her? Not the police. The security had taken it upon himself to get this personal vehicle and chase this car down. He ran her off the road into a telephone pole. Oh, no. All of her friends died. She lived, only to find out that she might be charged. Why? Because she had smoked a joint. It didn't steady her nerves. She didn't drink and she was driving. So now you're driving under the influence. 3 dead. 2 of them were underage because she's 18. 2 of them are 17, I think, and 1 of them is 15. So what did she do? She got out of the car to the security guy. The police didn't even come yet. She said, if you don't get away from me and my friends, I'm going to throw this rock through your windshield. So he said, well, yeah, go ahead and throw the rock. So what did she do? He gave her permission. So she threw the rock, hit him in the head. No big deal, he's fine. Now he's getting arrested. Finally, the police come an hour and a half later. She waited patiently because how could she go anywhere? Yeah. Her car's wrecked, friends are dead. She thought there'd be an ambulance come. Surely the security call for the police. Let her wrap up. Hold on.
No, you're fine, bro. You're fine.
Oh. My life has been amazing. And I want to thank you guys for being kind to me, even though nobody in here knows my first and last name, except for Dad who knows my first and last name. I think Tom might. You know. Nobody even knows me. McGuire. I think McGuire is my name. But no, all this time I've been coming to your guys' church, cleaning up the streets. Dagger and I have been cleaning up the streets on our own for free.
Mr. McGuire, right?
You did call me Mr. McGuire. Oh, that's right. So here's what's amazing. I remember when you guys were in the mall, but I was like, what weirdos? I'm out of here. Some of the Adventists, scary. But then, all of a sudden, you guys popped over to a little diner with the black checkered thing. Karen said, why don't you come and check us out? She's on her feet. Whatever, I don't want to check it out. The diner's like, I don't like church. So he wouldn't go, but I did. Right? As much as I could. You gotta admit, I dragged Dagger as much as I could.
You tell him to find them shoes for you, brother. We all know you.
Absolutely. That was
Yeah.
So,
And you know, the parents of the young lady that found shoes for you
Right there.
are here today.
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Thank you. I got really big feet and it's hard to find shoes. So, here's Dagger. I don't believe in God and I just want to kiss him. Where's Tom? Well, that's cool. I've never disrespected Dagger for that. He doesn't have to believe in anybody. It's your decision not to. Right? It is. But what can I do? Consistently be consistent with my belief and my faith. And not preach, but just show him that if you continue to go to the right safe place. So what happened? Well, guess what? Dagger and I went Friday for our housing appointment. And I'm going to brag a little bit. Dagger killed it. Killed it. I couldn't, they wouldn't let me kill it. Remember? They kept telling me to shut up because I'm just the guy on the side. That's fine, right? Because I'm retarded, guy on the side. For that moment, it was Dagger's time to shine. You know what that guy said, sitting across the table? He goes, is your name really Dagger? He goes, it is? Oh, it's Dagger Day. I'm like, Dagger Day? Yes, it was Dagger Day. Dagger's Day. Because Dagger killed it. I'm not saying he was a Marine, and I'm not saying I was in the Air Force, because I don't really care, and neither does he. Because that doesn't matter today. Will the Air Force help me? Yeah, they will. If I go to the Veterans Office and I say, look, I fear for my safety. Well, what was your MO? You mean MLS? No, MO. Air Force is different. They're smart. I was a linguist. You know what a linguist is? A master of translating foreign languages. And the minimum is 3. That's just for you to qualify. You have to score 95 or above. You got to be exactly 6 foot tall. You got to be lean and strong. I wanted to be a Marine. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't have what it took. I was too tall, gangly. If I was the first one, I'd be like, "Hey guys, where is everybody?" But oh wow, here they are. Boop, 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 boop. So the Air Force said, "Listen, you're incredibly intelligent. Your father was in the Air Force. Your grandfather was in the Air Force. Your great-grandfather was in the Air Force. Your uncle was in the Air Force. Your uncle went to the Navy. Right? Your uncle went to the Navy. Navy's kind of like, Marines and the Navy work together because the Navy drop them off. Pick them up.
So where are we at on the housing, brother?
We got it. All we got to do is wait 2 to 6 weeks. They don't care that he does meth because he does meth. It's not nice. They don't care. They said you cannot judge that. The only thing that we can judge is your ability to do exactly what we tell you. And here's the following. They said, A, you have to re-counsel it. I don't want to. Okay, never mind, you don't have to. B, I said, wait a minute, no UAs. He said, nope, no UAs. But what they did insist on is that a representative is welcome to come to our residence anytime they want to, without cause, but they'll give us notice because Dagger's a little bit sketchy if you just knock on his door and try to walk in.
So are we praying in celebration? Is that what we're doing today? Tom? We're praying in celebration. You know what?
I know you well, but I've never been up here.
It's okay. It's not so bad.
Not really.
So I can actually use my big man voice and everything. So as Mr. McGuire and I just mentioned, yes, I use methamphetamine from time to time and everything, and it's due to my own personal redemption of hate. Regardless and whatnot, if it hadn't been, for the church that I have been going through Sheriff Savage and Daryl Savage and whatnot, I wouldn't have been able to prosper as much as I have. Being in the military, I have learned that, if there is a God, and he had asked me, why'd you kill my son and everything, or my fellow man? And my answer would be just because I was told to. That's not sufficient enough. So I came here to sit and find my own redemption and everything for the lives I've taken and the lives I was ordered to take. After 7 years, I finally found my redemption. I found prosperity in the homelessness out here, to where there is meal exchange now at every location of arches and
True story.
whatnot.
True story's
There
not lying.
is drop boxes due to the fact that when I first came here, I was going up picking up 30 syringes and carrying them with me to where I continued to the hospital, and I got popped with them. And I got popped with a felony charge. Because of such felony charge I took on that, will last me the rest of my life. The streets are now cleaner. Businesses are taking down their signs of no trespassing because they notice that, we keep it clean. Me and Mr. McGuire, we actually go out at nighttime and we clean up the streets and whatnot. And if it hadn't been for the church, to be able to take on, our stress of being and everything, not just as a biblical aspect, but on a personal level, we wouldn't be able to make it just as far and everything. Some people get the wrong illustration of us that, either I'm an ex-cop or I'm a narc or Mr. McGuire is the same. No, we're just two servants of man. And all we're trying to do is find redemption, prosperity, and protection of all. And we'd like to thank everybody, that has been, helped us along our journey, because if it hadn't been for those that have been involved with the challenges, we wouldn't have been able to grow as far as we have.
Can we pray for you, brother?
Always.
That's a new one, brother. All right, come on, we're praying for Dagger. Yeah,
So, this is huge.
this is a big deal.
Big deal.
I'm hearing about redemption here, brother.
Heavenly Father, it's important that the message gets out. And Lord, we love Dagger and Anthony. I personally had known them now for 2 years, and I've known their struggles and their strive to do better things. And Lord, you're working with them and you're working with us inside out. And Lord, it's a special thing when Dagger steps up here in front of all these people. And Anthony stepped up in front of all these people. And I know this wasn't the way it was supposed to be, but it was supposed to be because that's the way you set it up to be, Lord. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to gather here today to witness the power that you have to reach people, Lord, to let people express themselves, to give them the courage to step forward. And times mostly they wouldn't, Lord. We ask that you keep your hand on Dagger and Anthony, and thank you, Lord, for letting them get their housing approved. It's been a struggle. It's a special moment, Lord. And thanks for bringing them to us. It made a difference. Amen.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Anthony started talking about top flight security. Top flight security actually started out as a joke between Anthony and I. And then one night, I was just up and about, walking around, and I ran into Anthony. And he said, "How's it going?" I'm like, "Well, still checking on things." Then the next night, I was out walking around, and I noticed Anthony was out, checking on different ones' cars and stuff that he knew, walking around different buildings and stuff that he was familiar with. And I looked at him and said, you turned into a real top flight security officer. And it just escalated from there. Now, if you parked in the downtown area late at night and stuff, your car is being well watched, because that gentleman does watch out for everyone. And as far as the cleanup, yeah, they're doing a real good job. And that kind of started with myself. I used to walk around doing day, night, it didn't matter. If I seen an area that needed to be, pretty well picked up, I'll start picking up trash and stuff. Then next thing I know, there go Anthony and Dad, walking around day or night, picking up trash, loading up trash bags, They say learn by leading by example. I'm not trying to say or take any credit for taking the lead, but it's good to see that there are folks out here that care about their loved ones and care about their community to start doing something about it. Thank y'all. God bless.
So don't run away real quick. And by the way, we're not talking about Jacob and Esau again today. So God's got one little thing that we're going to share when we're done with this time of testimony and prayer. You know, a few weeks ago, we were going to get something to eat, and we saw Stanley sitting over by the courthouse. And so we went over to say hello, and he's smiling, you know, with the Stanley smile, right? And he goes, you know, don't be so surprised if one of these days when you're doing those baptisms, I'm thinking I'm going to be one of them. I see it in your eyes, brother. And this is who you get to celebrate that with when that moment comes forward, brother. I'm going to be in Kentucky next weekend, but I'll be here the weekend after that.
Weekend after next.
All right. All right. Got it. All right. Here, brother. God bless you, too. You guys want to get back to bulletins again?
Water's kind of warm right now.
Sorry, Jeff, we're not going to do Jacob and Esau today. Next week. Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 3. Powerful story about how God cleans us, about how God changes our appearance and He changes what's inside, and He takes care of all of it, not by our doing, but by His doing. The story is speaking of Jeshua or Joshua, which translated into the Greek is Jesus, high priest. In verse 1 it says, Then the angel showed me Jeshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord. And the accuser, Satan, was there at the angel's right hand, making accusations against Jeshua. You know, when God showed me how hideous accusing is, when He showed me the things that the enemy uses the most, right? He loves to have us feel guilt and accusation and condemnation and fear. And when he can use any of those or all of those, he has a hook in our nose and he's dragging us around by it.
What's the verse?
Remember, Satan, his very identity is accuser of the brethren. And if he can get people working for him, doing the work for him, it's even better. Because he's not God. He can't be in all places all the time. So he needs us to help him out a little bit with his job. But the Spirit of God is greater.
Amen.
We don't have to live by the flesh. We can live by the Spirit. And we can be spiritual fruit trees where all the good fruit from the Spirit of God is there for everybody, for blessing. So the accuser is here relentless. As Revelation says, day and night, he accuses. And the Lord said to Satan, I, the Lord, reject your accusations. It's not your job to reject the accusations of the enemy. you have a Savior that will do it for you. When I start defending myself against the accusations of the enemy, I'm now in conversation with the enemy, and in that conversation, guess who I'm looking to? Now I'm focused on the enemy because I'm talking to the enemy, and Eve had an experience where she decided to talk to the enemy. It did not go well. My friends, let your Redeemer have the conversation with the enemy on your behalf. You walk knowing who you are because of who He is. Your identity is not the accused. Your identity is son or daughter of God, brother or sister of Jesus Christ. And there is power in that beyond what you could ever comprehend or imagine. And it's all there so that we can experience the fullness of that redemption. The fullness of knowing that we are who He says we are. We are not who the enemy says we are. And when you start walking in the identity of being who God says you are, all of a sudden, the things that the enemy is getting you to do to participate in his will, all of a sudden you find yourself not doing so much of that. You find yourself participating in the will of God instead. And when you walk in the will of God, you're so focused on the things of God, the accusations of the enemy get more and more faint because they really don't matter. The Lord said, I reject your accusations, Satan. Yes, the Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebukes you. This man is like a burning stick that has been snatched from the fire. You may smell like smoke, but if you're in the hand of God, don't worry about smelling like smoke. I have a wood stove at home, and I have this thought in my head always that, I like big pieces of wood to put in the fireplace or in the wood stove. So Roman has found that if it doesn't fit, if he takes a sledgehammer to it, he can beat it all the way into the fire, right? There's only a little problem with that, because if you fail at that, the part in the fire catches on fire, and now you got half the log burning and half the log outside where it shouldn't be, and eventually it'll be burning too, and that's not good. There's been a couple of occasions where a burning log has been pried out of the wood stove with a flame on one end of it, running for the door to head to the yard. But for that day, that log didn't burn. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said, King, I know my God can rescue me. But if he decides not to, yet I will serve him. God did not take them around the furnace or over the furnace or away from the furnace, and he didn't make all the people in the kingdom that were in charge drop dead at that moment. They went into the fire. But they didn't even smell like smoke when they came. In our pain and in our brokenness, as we all are tore up over a buddy and all of that, and all the different types of fire, discomfort, difficulty, challenges, God didn't give us any rosy picture saying that we would go through life because of him and we wouldn't experience any discomfort. But he said, I will never leave you or forsake you. You see all those that have gone before us. We read the story, the Bible's chock full of. We see the miraculous things of God in spite of and concurrently with and in the middle of tremendous discomfort and challenge. Now this high priest here is, a high priest was supposed to be, as forgiven and as clean and as ceremonially clean as anybody could possibly be, because on that Day of Atonement, when he was to go into the most holy place, you wanted to hear the little jingle bells on the bottom of his robe jingling, because if they stopped jingling, that meant that your high priest had some kind of defilement, and he was going to come out by you pulling on the rope that was on him, rather than him coming out and saying, you have been atoned by the blood of the Lamb. And so if this high priest is here and it's saying that he's standing here in the face of the accuser, that something amazing is happening. Jeshua's clothing was filthy as he stood before the angel, so the angel said to the other standing there, take off his filthy clothes. And turning to Jeshua, he said, see, I have taken away your sin. And now I'm giving you these fine new clothes. And then I said, they should also place a clean turban on his head. So they put a clean priestly turban on his head and dressed him in new clothes while the angel of the Lord stood by. Then the angel of the Lord spoke very solemnly to Joshua and said, this is what the Lord of heaven's army says. If you follow my ways and carefully serve me, then you will be given authority over my temple and the courtyards, and I will let you walk among these others standing here. Can you picture the incredible privilege? Privilege of standing there. Really, the only thing that you could say is being done by Jeshua is what he's not doing. It's about what he's not doing. He's not changing his own clothing. He's not picking out a robe. He's not cleaning himself. He's not trying on a hat. He's not telling the angel that's there how to do it. He's not even telling him what his size is. He's not defending himself. He's not arguing with the circumstance. He's not saying anything about this. He's simply being there, submitting in the presence of his enemy, being renewed in his identity in the Redeemer.
Amen.
In the presence of the enemy. When we come to church here and we have a service like this, we do it in the presence of the enemy. When we have a baptism here, we do it in the presence of the enemy. When we testify, when those that have come up here today, it's done in the presence of the enemy.
Amen.
Today, as we open the Word, we do it in the presence of the enemy. We shouldn't have any pie-in-the-sky idea that somehow, in some way, that we're supposed to do this in a little closed-off room where there is no presence of the enemy and that we are only here in our own little kingdom. And that only the holy people and only the good things and only all of that is here, and somehow we can protect that in a manner that we can have such a sanitary place. Psalms 23, as we read last week from the baptistry, it says, I will set a table for you in the presence of your enemy. We're not here because we came out of the presence of the enemy. We're here because we know who Jesus is. We're here because we know what He can do. We know what He has done. We know that He has told us that He's going to do things beyond our wildest imagination. Not behind the front line, but in the presence of the enemy. When He takes this city for His purpose, for His glory, for His goodness, it's going to be in the presence of the enemy. Don't look at the enemy, look at Jesus.
Amen.
Don't listen to the enemy. Listen to the voice. Don't let the enemy tell you that you don't know his voice. You have his very breath in you. You are here living, functioning. Your heart is beating. You're breathing. You woke up this morning not because of the enemy, but because of the life of God that is in you. Don't ever buy the lie. Well, those people, Pastor Dale hears the voice of God, but I don't. Baloney. Don't buy the enemy's lie. Listen to the voice of God in the presence of the enemy. He will take your dirty, filthy, whatever it is. And He alone has earned the right to make you clean. And in that you're free. You're not subject to the accusations. There's no more condemnation. There may be a condemner, but you're not subject to the condemnation. Just because the enemy says so doesn't mean it's true.
The devil's a liar.
He is a liar, sister. That's his native language. Jesus said that. That's right. Inside out. Following Jesus in ministry in the presence of the enemy. But we're not looking at the enemy. We're looking at our King. Brian, I know you got a song. Let's just leave it right there. I could stay here another 3 hours. Better stop while I'm ahead.